This week, I have been mostly wearing ZoomX. I wore only Nike ZoomX running shoes in my training for a whole week, and this is what happened. Hey cats, thanks for joining me on the channel. It's Ed Midsole here. That's not actually my name, but you get my drift, right? Super shoe foam is almost everywhere now. It's on all the daily offerings from all the manufacturers. We all have that super light, highly compressive, squashy stuff, don't we? It's made its way into all sorts of different daily drivers right now. Obviously, that offers loads of benefits to us as runners, people that are training for marathons, half marathons, ultra marathons even. And as such, they're obviously very attractive for us to utilize on a more daily, frequent basis. More forgiving on the ankles, the muscles, the hips. Sadly, not on the wallet though. There's quite a host of benefits there, and I want to talk about them today. If you haven't done so yet, help the channel out by clicking that subscribe button and also hitting the bell below for notifications of when I launch those new videos for you. You don't want to miss out. Also give this video a thumbs up, like, and share it with your running buddies. Danke schön. So, I wanted to test out this theory that perhaps using Nike ZoomX shoes could really help in terms of recovery and lessen the sort of fatigue, just more forgiving perhaps on foot, and really help me with my training. So I thought I'll just wear them all week and see what happens. Very scientific test. Could they help prevent injury and lessen the strain and the aches that you get when you're 43. A young 43 though. So totaled 41 miles this week. That's about 66 kilometers. Runs anywhere from my easy effort, which is about sort of 8 minutes 30, 8 minutes 15 per mile. Just doing some easy 3-4 mile runs, you know, nothing crazy. It's been quite warm here, so, you know, I can't run in the heat. It just doesn't work for me. Through to longer runs with more tempo sort of effort and pace. Some higher speed reps of 400 meters and 200 meters at my 10 and 5k pace. So there's a real range of effort levels in there, lots of different types of runs. Though I've only used 2 shoes this week. The Nike ZoomX Invincible Run Flyknit 2 and the Nike ZoomX Alphafly Next Percent 2. So what have I found out with my testing this week? Here are my thoughts. So I've been mainly logging those slower, easy, sort of recovery day type runs. You know, the daily stuff really in the Invincible Run Flyknit 2. Gotta say, the legs feel insanely good at this point on the Sunday. A long run today, like about 10 miles or so, like 16 kilometers or something, which does equal about 25% of my weekly mileage. I think these 2 shoes represent 2 very different tones of ZoomX, really. It's kind of like having 2 different types of guitar for a gig. This one's a bit more of a warm tone, perhaps a little better for those ballad type numbers. You know, the easy stuff, not so ferocious in terms of pace. I found it's been fantastic as a facilitator or perhaps a catalyst to get me out there perhaps when I'm having second thoughts. You know what I mean? Perhaps when motivation's lacking a little bit, I find this shoe is really, really good to get onto foot, and it just gets you out there. It almost opens the door for you. Sort of. For example, last Sunday I raced the Martok 10k down here in Somerset. You know, it was a pretty hard effort, and on the Monday I've got to say, you know, feeling a little tired, feeling a bit fatigued, lethargic, that's the word. But I got the ZoomX Invincible Run Flyknit 2 on foot, and it was relatively plain sailing to get out there and log a few miles on the Monday. Also helps to keep the heart rate relatively low. I wouldn't say that it makes it easier perhaps, it just has a whole lot of impact protection there, and if you've got any sort of aches or pains, they just start to drift away. I wouldn't say the Invincible Run has that magic effect of lowering that perceived effort. Certainly this shoe does that, but I think when you've got a midsole that's made up of a foam that has about 85% energy return, that's Nike's figures, it's certainly highly cushioned, and there's just loads of impact protection there to try and save the legs a little bit, especially if you've just done some sort of really hard run, maybe a really hard long run, or a race, maybe a half marathon or marathon. I just don't think it's as assistive perhaps as the Alphafly is. It's kind of like a nice pillow that you can put onto the foot, and it's really going to help you get back out there. I think the difference between the two shoes for me is how assistive the AirPods are in the Alphafly Next Percent 2. This shoe certainly does lower the perceived effort, as does the VAPORFLY Next Percent as well. I'm just amazed at how fresh it leaves the legs. I've done 10 miles today, and in the second half of the run I threw in 2-minute bursts at about my 10k pace, and then 2 minutes to just sort of recover and get the heart rate back down before I did another 2 minutes. I think there's about 8 or 9 of those, and I did a half mile at my 10k pace as well, and my legs feel like I've just gone for a short jog. It really does give an awesome boost to performance, this shoe. It cannot be denied. Air Zoom was first used in some Nike shoes in 1996, and I think these AirPods here in the front have a PSI of about 25. I think that's kind of like what a car tyre has, so it's a little bit like running on those. Though I would suggest that having a little bit of ZoomX underneath does make that whole feeling a little bit more forgiving. So if you think they're removing some foam from the front of the shoe, it's got an 85% energy return, and replacing it with something that has a 90% energy return. Again, these are Nike statistics lifted straight from some of their videos released in 2020. The Alphafly really, to me, and the Next Percent represents only what the runner needs. They've really minimized the upper as much as possible, and they're providing things here that runners want and are going to help them to train and race. I mean, you've got an incredibly weight relieved upper here. It's a super light and airy ride in the Alphafly Next Percent 2. I think I put about 30 miles into these shoes over the course of the week on various different paces, different effort levels, and I felt the legs could have gone on further and further if needed today. I called it a day. I knew I'd done about 41 miles or something. I could have gone on further, run another 5 or 6 or something. So maybe I'll do that next week. They always say to increase your mileage by about 10% each week, so I'm always conscious to do that and never extend out the mileage too much. I'm all about longevity rather than burning out too soon. It isn't really going to do me any favours right now. Of course, if you utilise that ZoomX foam that you find in these shoes, I think you're going to avoid injury from sort of overstressing certain parts of your legs, your muscles. It means that you can continue then and push on with your training. You're not going to miss any sessions. And I think they just make running quite fun and enjoyable and exciting. Some of us don't get to go out and run every day. We might have only sort of select times when we can do that. So why would you not want to wear a shoe that's quite fun and exciting to run in when you get the chance? Some people might say that doing long runs in a softer, more cushioned shoe isn't really giving you all the benefits that you want from a long run. If that benefit is that you have to hobble around the next day when you go to work or something and just generally feel really beaten up, you know, if that's what you're looking for, then knock yourself out. I just can't agree on that. I think pain and strain are warning signs that injury's just around the corner, and that's not a place that I want to be in at all. I wouldn't have thought any of you guys want to be there either. Sadly, those ZoomX shoes do have a quite high cost to them. They might be stopping us from getting injured and relieving some of that fatigue, but they're pretty pricey. I would state that I find the wider forefoot and heel in both of the shoes I've talked about today to be a real boon. Yeah, aside from the VAPORFLY Next Percent, I mean, that's quite narrow in the heel, still quite wide in the forefoot. These two shoes have been fantastic this week for me. It's been quite interesting just opting for two shoes, you know, narrowing the rotation down a little bit, but it's worked brilliantly well, especially considering that this week began with a recovery run after a pretty hard race last weekend. I did do a poll over on the community section of the YouTube channel. Here are the results. I asked which of the super shoe foams is the most forgiving, and 59% of the votes go to the Nike ZoomX, with 22% going to the New Balance Fuel Cell material. Adidas is back in third position with 8% of the votes for Lightstrike Pro, and then you've got a few down the bottom there for the other manufacturers. So getting up to about 1,000 votes there gives us a reasonable kind of understanding of what people think out there. The viewers' opinions are always very important for me. So what do you make of my musings this week? Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think I'm balmy? Or do you think it was actually a really interesting test? I certainly would suggest that my legs feel amazing right now. They feel really, really good. It feels like I've got a load of training under my belt that was really useful this week, and I want to get into next week. I can't wait for Monday to come around. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. Quick musical interlude for you. There's a fantastic tune from one of my favourite singer-songwriters and just general all-round cool chap Jonathan Richman. Go and check out his track Fender Stratocaster. It truly is a love letter to the famous guitar. Describes the sound, how exciting it is. It's kind of wiry sound, I suppose, from the Fender, though it can do lots of different tones depending upon the strings that you use, but also the amp that you're plugged into. Just with the basic minimum instrumentation, Jonathan Richman manages to put across this really energetic and energy-filled performance. I love some of his tracks. They're so simple, you can hear all the words. The guitar playing's always great. A few times it almost sounds like he's just hitting a suitcase or something to get some rhythm going. There's a really good compilation album that you can check out from Jonathan Richman called Action Packed, and it really is. It lives up to the title. Go and check it out, guys. Fender Stratocaster from Jonathan Richman. Thanks for tuning in, guys. It's always appreciated. We're getting towards 30,000 subscribers soon. I'm going to have a big party. I'm going to get a beast in here. We're going to have some pineapple on a stick, maybe even some panda pops as well. Help us out to get to 30,000 subscribers by hitting that button, but also clicking the bell below for notifications of when I fire out the new videos for you. Also give this video a thumbs up, like, and share it with your running buddies. My name's Eddbud, and I'll be seeing you